Hello everyone. Now you're going to hear a short recap of the film Soul Surfer. The plot is based on real events. In 2003, from early childhood, 13-year-old Bethany Hamilton spent all her free time in the water and dreamt of becoming a professional surfer. She was born into a family of surfers, and thanks to her two older brothers, she was used to constant competition, and her parents did not mind them competing with each other to see who would ride the waves better. In the Hawaiian town of Kauai, competitions were taking place, and Bethany and her best friend Alana Blanchard were participating in their teenage category. But the athlete in black, Maulina Birch, was serious and successfully performed the tricks. Bethany complained to her father that she stole the wave from her. Her father advised her on how to proceed. In the final part of the competition, Bethany did not leave her opponent any chance. The local surfing legend was sure that the girl had a great future in this sport. Maulina Birch came in second place, which made her very upset. Their joy of victory was complemented by the fact that Alana and Bethany were going to be sponsored by a sportswear brand. Later, the girls chose swimwear for regional competitions. Maulina threatened to beat Bethany with a clean sweep. The high school students attended the youth church in the evenings. Sarah Hill, their church youth ministry leader, collected written permission from the parents of those who had decided to go on the missionary trip. Bethany was forced to refuse. She needed to train hard, but because of Sarah's silent rebuke, she now felt uncomfortable. Maybe helping the Mexican kids was more important. Alana persuaded her friend to run away from home to go night surfing with a large group. A guy named Keoki constantly hung around next to them. Exactly at midnight, the guys launched fireworks. Bethany was very happy. "Of course, my mother knows about their night outing. She teaches girls at home," said Bethany. "It takes 8 hours to get to the nearest school." Alana's father, Holt, brought the girls and his son Byron to a wild beach with excellent waves. At the same time, Thomas Hamilton, Bethany's father, would be undergoing knee surgery. The four sailed away from the shore and conquered the big waves. The young athletes talked about how much fun they were having. At that moment, a shark appeared from under the water and bit Bethany, but did not pull her under the water. The surfers swam to the shore in an organized manner. Bethany was breathing hard but did not panic. Her arm was bitten right up to her shoulder. The girl prayed to God for help to help her get to the shore. Byron ran as fast as he could to the car to call an ambulance. Thomas was about to have his knee surgery, but it would have to wait. The operating room was urgently needed for the injured girl. Alan vomited and Holt applied a tourniquet to the wounded girl. Bethany's mother Sherry found out about the tragedy. She was carefully placed in the pickup truck and taken to the hospital. She was losing a lot of blood. An ambulance was already on its way to meet the car, where she was transferred. The paramedic asked Bethany to remain conscious, but she went into hypovolemic shock. Along with the team of doctors to the operating room, the girl was accompanied by her mother. The door closed before her and her elder brother Noah. Her life was now in the hands of the doctors. Bethany was already heading through the wave towards the light, but she was saved. The whole family was in the ward, and Bethany, after regaining consciousness, tried to feel her arm first, but it wasn't there. "It hurts," the girl told her parents, and was thirsty. Bethany asked her father not to cry. Holt also came to visit her. It was only thanks to his efforts that the girl survived. Alana didn't come, she was still in shock. The surgeon bluntly told the patient that the bite site would hurt a lot, and in general it will not be pleasant for her. She lost 60% of her blood. She would also have to learn to do many things in new ways. But even in this state, Bethany was thinking about getting back to surfing as soon as possible. Noah took the tragedy hard and argued with his father. Both friends have nightmares about sharks. Bethany was watching the news, in which the news presenter talked about how the shark bit off her arm. Alana finally came to visit her and immediately burst into tears. She refused to be photographed in swimsuits from the sponsor without her friend, but Bethany persuaded her to go to the photo shoot for both of them. On the way home, Bethany told her mother that she would be back in the water as soon as her stitches were removed. A crowd of reporters were waiting for her at her house. Noah was about to hose them down, but Tom decided it would be better to drive around the journalists and hide in the backyard. Bethany needed to get used to living in the new way. Bethany could no longer cut a tomato, nor could she open a package of food. The ukulele would now lie idle. At the table, Tom informed his daughter that in exchange for a short interview, she would be given a high-quality prosthesis. Noah was embarrassed when he could not take his sister's hand during prayer. Bethany couldn't wait to get her new hand. In her situation, even fixing her hair was difficult. Putting on a swimsuit and going shopping was also a big problem. Everyone around her stared back at her, and the children pointed their fingers at her. It was time to remove the bandage. For the first time, Bethany saw what was left of her hand, and the girl and her mother found it difficult to hold back tears. Sarah had returned from Mexico and asked Bethany how she was doing now. And she immediately burst into tears. "What is the essence of God's plan if she was left without a hand?" asked Bethany. At night, the whole town gathered around the dead shark. Tom held the bitten-off surfboard to its jaw and was convinced that this was the exact shark that bit off his daughter's hand. Alana was being photographed for a fashion brand ad while Bethany stood off to the side watching her. She didn't envy her at all, but rather envied the guys who were having fun on the waves. "You should be there with me," said Alana. "No," replied Bethany. Her family urged the girl to come to the breakfast as soon as possible. She also made them a surprise in the form of freshly squeezed orange juice and banana bread, which, however, had been on the floor several times. It was today that Bethany was determined to get back into the water. Alas, she still couldn't even stand on the board. But the athlete did not give up, and after another attempt, she finally succeeded. The whole family rejoiced no less than Bethany herself. She also stated that she intended to prepare for the Hawaiian regional competitions. The community was celebrating Thanksgiving. Tom was most grateful that he would spend this holiday with his daughter. Sherry specifically thanked Holt for saving Bethany. The girl was finally shown her prosthetic arm, which looked like a real hand. Bethany was helped to put on the prosthesis, and she immediately went to check how it would help her on the board, but it turned out that the prosthesis was not designed for weight-bearing. Due to the fact that there was very little left of the hand, mobility would be limited. Bethany became nervous and asked to have her artificial arm removed. Her Barbie doll would now also be without an arm. Bethany worried that no one would like her like that, including the boys. "Everyone loves normal," said Bethany. To convince her daughter of her beauty, Sherry showed her a photo of Venus de Milo, who was considered the ideal female beauty all over the world, and she even had one less arm. Bethany started to train. Her entire family was involved in the process. The Hawaiian regionals had begun. Bethany was sick with excitement, but was too late to pull out. Everyone knew about her application as a participant. The judges decided to give Bethany a 5-minute head start, but she refused to use it. It was difficult for the girl to keep up with the rest of the participants, and during the first wave she could not even get on the board, but Molina Birch earned a bunch of points on it. The next wave was still for Bethany, and with small flaws she performed successfully. Alana was also not far behind. Bethany was far from first place and she swam on the biggest wave. But the wave caught her without mercy. The girl refused the rescuers' help and swam towards the next wave. Molina, who was in first place by a wide margin, did not want to give Bethany even a handful of points. Alana knocked down the bitch so that she could not ride the wave instead of her friend, because of which she was disqualified. But it was all in vain. The wave broke Bethany's board. On the beach she was surrounded by reporters, and in order to quickly get behind, Bethany simply took off her t-shirt, completely exposing her stump. In the car, girls asked her for her autograph, but instead, the frustrated athlete gave them all her surfboards. It was all over for her. But her father did not give up. He could not see his daughter without surfing. The mother, on the other hand, believed that her husband would injure their daughter if he puts pressure on her. At sunset, Bethany complained to Tom that she didn't know what she's going to do next. In the meantime, she went with Sarah to help the victims of the tsunami in Thailand. There she saw broken trees, destroyed buildings, and people left homeless. The guys stood in a row and handed out sacks of grain. A local resident talked about how she lost her entire family during the natural disaster. According to Sarah, what she saw there would help Bethany look at the many things in her life in a different way. "Something's missing, right?" asked Bethany. Thais were now afraid of water and did not approach it. Bethany set herself the task of calming the little boy and took him to swim on the board. After a while, the rest of the children also joyfully ran into the water. She added confidence not only to the victims, but also to herself. When Bethany returned, she found that the whole house was littered with thousands of letters from her fans from all over the world. Even her unsuccessful participation in the competition inspired many children with similar problems. Bethany approached her father and firmly told him that she would participate in the competition. But first he needed to solve one problem with diving into the waves. The girl constantly fell back, and it turned out that Tom had already upgraded the board in the right way. Her test was a success. Bethany shook her only hand and did an exercise on the press to develop balance. After some time, she was already able to do push-ups on one arm. The girl was supported by Keoki. According to him, with her one hand, the rest of the participants would have at least some chance. The national championship began. Each surfer was given 25 minutes to ride a maximum of 10 waves. Points for the best 2 attempts would make up the final result of the athlete's performance. The father told his daughter that the most successful surfers have a sixth sense that tells them when the best wave is coming, and Bethany was definitely one of them. Marlena over the past few months had won in all 3 competitions in which she participated. No one had come close to scoring that many. Bethany thanked her rival for never giving her any favors. Our heroine showed the highest class and gradually moved up the tournament grid. She made it to the final just like her friend and, of course, Marlena Birch. The final swim began on the whistle. After the first attempt, Alana held the lead, but Bethany had problems. Marlena caught a wave and also splashed her one-armed rival. She was able to come out on top. Bethany was currently second to last. On the next wave, Marlena earned 9.5 points, and this was the highest result for that day. Bethany needed to catch 2 waves in 5 minutes, and in each attempt also score at least 9.5 points. Marlena again tried to prevent her from being the first to get on the good wave, but Bethany, with the help of a cunning trick, got ahead of her and earned as much as 9.7 points. But another wave was needed and only a minute was remaining. The water was flat, but Bethany sensed something and swam forward. A giant wave formed in the distance, and there was no one else beside Bethany. She managed to ride it before time ran out and did a perfect slide inside the barrel. The girl did everything possible to win, but the judges announced that Bethany got on board after the horn, so the last wave did not count. The new national champion was Marlena Birch. "It's okay, Dad," said Bethany. "But they didn't count," exclaimed Tom. "I counted it," replied Bethany. However, Bethany was not upset at all. She now knew what she would do for the rest of her life. According to the results of the competition, Bethany came in 5th place, and her friend Alana came in 2nd. During her speech, Marlena declared that she would share 1st place with her main rival. For the sake of other disabled children, Bethany gave interviews to journalists and said that she did not regret that she went surfing on that ill-fated day, otherwise she would never have been able to embrace as many people as she can embrace now. Bethany Hamilton fulfilled her dream of becoming a professional surfer. The very next year she won 1st place in the National Surfing Championship. Alana Blanchard is also one of the world's leading surfers.